For 20 years, I was taught to obey a religious system and not what love and truth actually are. And that's why leaving religion is perhaps the most important thing any one human being can do on the planet. Because religion, when it becomes a performance system, it produces the opposite of wholeness: shame, hiding, image management, fear of being found out, smiling while dying, and a split life. And Jesus didn't come to make better performers. He came to restore relationship with the Father and produce whole human beings. So today, we rebuild foundational principles of life, love, and truth, not as concepts, but as realities that you can practice daily. Because religion is people defining God for you, versus relationship is God defining himself to you. Here's what a performance system does psychologically. If love feels conditional, you build an identity around earning it. This is true in families, but it is also true in religion. So people develop a religious self, the version that behaves right, says the right phrases, hides the pain, suppresses doubt, and smiles while dying. This creates a split, psychological terms known as cognitive dissonance. Who you are versus who you pretend to be. And you can't have peace when you're split. Peace is not pretending you're okay. Peace is wholeness. Guys, my name is Thomas Emmanuel Orms O'Brien. I'm the president and co-founder of Building a Home, Inc. And we introduce ourselves every single week because we understand that our verbiage is very unique to us. Everything is built around what is known as the BHI framework. And what we've done is design life like a house. And in architectural terms, there are principles that are the guiding forces for life of every human being. But before I get into that, let me introduce myself. I'm a former drug addict and alcoholic. I'm a rehabilitated habitual liar. I'm also a survivor of a suicide attempt in 2022. I'm currently in the pursuit of a psychology degree right now in the form of being an autodidact, soon to be enrolled in a formal university. And for the last 20 years, I was groomed to become a messianic rabbi. I studied religions from all over the world, but focusing on Western religions specifically through the lens of the Bible, until I left it all behind. And the reason why that is because slowly but surely, religion was killing me. And I'll explain further in detail, but what I've realized is that the goal of the Bible, if you happen to be a theistic individual like ourselves, we do believe in the God of the Bible expressed in the universal force of love in the person of Jesus. But as I said earlier, it's very important to make the distinction. We abhor religion in this company, and we uplift a relationship. What does that mean? Well, religion is man defining God for you, versus a relationship is God defining himself to you. Very clear distinction there. But in in architectural terms, we believe, like I said, that life is like a house. 7 sections that would be the guiding principles to give you a whole and perfect life. Yes, nothing missing and nothing broken. If you were able to obtain these 7 guiding principles, your life would be perfect. And that is what the Bible describes as heaven on earth. And so, where we start, like in any construction, is from the ground up. The foundation being love and truth, the topic of today's video, because love without truth is tolerance, and truth without love is brutality. And if love and truth were the guiding principles for your life, properly defined, you would be a most impactful human being. The next is the basement. Not where many people go, but certainly you are aware of its contents. And this is identity and integrity. Who you are and maintaining who you are every single day. That is why identity and integrity are synonymous. We believe identity is something that is received, something that you can go on the journey of discovery to obtain, and integrity would mean acting out who you are on a daily basis to the utmost of your capacity, which would lead you into stewardship of your life. Because if you're bound by love and truth, and you are being yourself every single day to the utmost, your lens of your life would be very specific. And the first floor of your house, after the basement, is your physical health and your financial health. Because with love and truth being your source, you would want to be in the best physical shape of your life, and you would want financial success. But our way of describing physical and financial health obviously is not completely foreign, but we believe it to be defined in very specific terms. Physical health is resistance training and a diet that is focused on optimal gut health. Why? Because the gut is known as the second brain. Over 70% of the serotonin in your entire body is produced in your gut. And so, the scientific literature backs this insanely, that if your gut microbiome is suboptimal or unhealthy, the effects on your health are so negative in their impact that it leads to very, very, very dangerous and fearful outcomes for you in your life. Tying that also to making sure that you have a regulated nervous system. Because if your CNS or your central nervous system is out of whack, no matter what you do, you will always have residual side effects. Why? Because the body keeps the score. I certainly am not where I want to be nor need to be yet, but since discovering these principles, I have been on the journey to better physical health. And financial health is described in 3 different veins. Number 1, get on a budget. Why? Because if you're not leading your money is leading you. That's John Maxwell, $50 million a year entrepreneur and leadership expert. And getting on a budget is facing the reality of your finances. So if you do not take control, removing the emotional content and realizing that money is a means to an end, not the end of itself, you will always be a slave. And that's not wholeness. That's not freedom. Number 2, get out of debt. Again, Because if the goal is to be whole and free, you would want to owe no man or institution anything. Because that means your money is your money. The money that you have been given to steward, you can utilize for the purpose of your mission in life without anyone telling you what to do with it. And then number 3, investing for the future. If you were to do all 3 of those things, not only would you become financially wealthy, but you would steward it in a healthy way. That brings you to the second floor of the house, which is vocations. Latin root word for that is vocare, which means to call. That is essentially your purposes in life. And I do believe that it is plural for a reason. There is an overarching purpose, I think, for every single human being, but there are specific ways in which it is expressed for you. Number 1, your financial expression, what you bring to the world in value that allows the world to pay you for your value. If you're in a Western society or a society that is built around the free marketplace, then that is owning a business or entrepreneurship. You bring value. Value is determined or appraised. You receive monetary gain in return. Then it would be expressed in what you do for God. This is things that is personal that you would do even if you never got paid. Things that you would require zero recognition for, whatever it may be. And then finally expressed in service to others for free. What would you do for another human being without payment and without recognition, regardless of what it is? And it is you can discover vocation in 4 ways. Number 1, you bring who you are into what you do. Why is that an important distinction? Because most of the world today gains their identity from what they do. Here's the problem. When you're no longer able to do it, or when the work in itself is no longer available to you, or it goes away completely, what happens? You die with it. And so being informs doing. You do not gain your identity from your work. You bring who you are into your workplace. Very important. Number 2, the worst thing or things that have ever happened to you. Why? Because the only way life is worth living is if the endless suffering that is endured worldwide by human beings, that is the one thing every human being has in common on earth, and that is pain. If there is no redemption for pain, we should all stop living tomorrow. Number 3, your childhood dreams. The things that you wanted to accomplish, your aspirations, your imaginations before pain. And then number 4, in service to others. Your calling in life will always lead you to the benefit of humanity, never the adverse, because being a benefit to humanity in economy does something very interesting. It becomes beneficial for you. You bring value to people through your greatest pain and your greatest dreams, and they will assign value to you. Which then brings us to the next part of the house, which is the attic, otherwise known as joy. And the way we define joy is in your hobbies, the things you love doing with the people that you love doing them with. Dr. Stuart Brown, a brilliant psychologist, wrote a book called Play. In it, he says, the opposite of play is not work, It's depression. I'm not going to cite all the sources right now, but there is a neurological requirement for joy for life to be lived properly. You cannot miss joy in your life. There are not only physical side effects, but there are mental side effects when your life is stripped of joy. The things you love doing with the people you love doing them with. Now, what does that mean? You intentionally schedule it. Joy doesn't run your life. Joy is a integrated, intentional part of your life. Because working hard and being absolutely laser focused with a ferocious intensity to tackle goals and build worthwhile value is so very important. But it cannot be your entire life. So, schedule joy intentionally. Do those things you love with the people that you love doing them with on a weekly basis. The side of the house is the chimney, which is release. Long story short, what that is letting go of the people and things that do not serve your purposes. That friendship you've been holding on for too long, that bitterness inside because of that one person or persons that harmed you. Let it go. It does not serve your purpose. Let it go. The last part of the house is the skylight, which illuminates every single room. And what that is wisdom. Now, wisdom is not knowledge. Wisdom is the application of knowledge born from either divine revelation, learning, or experience in life. It is the overall arching theme, the thing that drives everything in one upward aiming direction for you to become the most optimal human being that you can be. For example, knowledge is being able to classify a tomato as a fruit, but wisdom is knowing that you don't put a tomato in a fruit salad. So wisdom is the proper application of knowledge through skills. So all of that together, your life would be perfect if you had love and truth, if you knew your identity and were yourself every single day of your life till the day you died. You were physically healthy and financially healthy. You had vocation or purpose. You had joy. You release all of the things or people that do not serve your purpose, and you have wisdom. That's perfection. That is a life worth living. And I believe that to be the life that is described for any one human being in the Bible. And so, today we're going to talk about foundation and why religion is the antithesis of love and truth. And if you are a theistic individual, why you should avoid and leave religion completely and replace it with a relationship. If you happen to be an atheistic individual that is science forward in their thinking, I do not believe that science and a relationship with God are incompatible, because the way I define truth is first off reality, what is measurable and observable in science, but also what is true about you. Who are you? Why are you here? The worst things that ever happened to you, your greatest fears, your greatest dreams, most importantly, your favorite color. Regardless, I think we find a home for everyone in this framework. And even if you do not tie it to theistic biblical concepts as I do, I believe you will understand the psychology and the neuroscience that not only confirms but colludes with all of these things. And so, we're going to go ahead and define it. In the Building a Home Inc., the foundation, like I said, is two things: love and truth. If either one is missing, the whole house is unstable. And here's the brutal reality: that love without truth becomes enabling, and truth without love becomes violence. Because just because something is true doesn't mean that it has to be or must be implemented for every individual in the way that you want it in that moment. Everyone must live by reality, but a reality without love is chaos. And so, Jesus, if you observe his life, held both perfectly. That's the standard. If you were to aim yourself in the direction of the most axiomatic individual, being a person that singularly not only changes himself or herself, family, community, and the world. Because whether or not you believe in the biblical account of the person of Jesus, there are archaeological and anthropological evidences that he existed outside of the Bible, and he is the most contested individual in history. Wouldn't you want to be debated about thousands of years later? Imagine your impact being so great that you are the point of discussion and contention for thousands of years. That's greatness. Right? Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great, Napoleon, Attila the Hun, right? So many great individuals in history that have been discussed for hundreds and some thousands of years later. That is legacy. And so let's define love the way Jesus lived it. So love is not tolerance. Love is not enabling. Love is not letting people abuse you and calling it holy. Love is seeking the good of another person, even at cost to yourself. But here's the distinction: without deception. Jesus' love had patterns. Number one, presence. He moved toward the broken, not away. It's a very famous quote by one of my mentors. His name is Jamie Winship, and he says it like this: Jesus did not come to fix problems. He came to heal people. People are the greatest asset on planet Earth. Every individual person's greatest asset is their attention, which is governed by their time. We'll get into that in another video. Compassion. He saw people, not just behavior. Because behavior is an outward action displaying inward motivation. Truthful confrontation. He named what was real. Period. End of story. Protection. He defended the vulnerable. If you do not have the capacity to observe vulnerability and defend it in another human being, you're not loving. Number 5, sacrifice. The biblical concepts, he laid his life down. So, love is not a vibe. Love is a behavior. Here's the test. If your love requires you to lie, it's not love. If your love makes you abandon your own soul, it's not love. Now let me translate that into the psychology in plain language. Here's a reality that's been observable in science for millennia now. Humans heal in safety. We're not just talking about physical wounds, we're talking about internal wounds, right? That big buzzword, trauma. But trauma, properly defined, is this. Trauma is not the event in itself that happened to you. It's the internal wound that you sustained as a result. Dr. Gabor Mate. So what does that mean? The nature of trauma is that is a wound. It means it can be healed at any time. That's good news. And so when someone experiences genuine care, their nervous system downshifts. And when the nervous system downshifts, several things happened. The mind gets clearer. The body relaxes. Options come back online. How do we know that? Because the amygdala quiets, which is the threat center of your brain, which is where all the information passes through first and gets assessed. There's an assessment, and it comes to the prefrontal cortex. This is the intuitive part of the brain, the logical, the forward thinking, the upward aiming part of the brain is up here. So when your nervous system is regulated, you move from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex. And then what happens as a result? Change becomes possible. If a person is living back here in survival, in the reptilian, in the mammalian, right? In the middle of the jungle 10,000 years ago, spear in hand, there is a saber-toothed tiger or a smilodon coming at you from the underbrush. Your brain is going to make immediate assessment, and it's going to either fight, right? Overcome your adversary, flight, run and escape the adversary, or freeze, shut down and conserve energy. And so when you move from that into the prefrontal cortex, then you can dream. And so what happened though? Society is not as it once was. We are very far detached from nature through technology, through wonders of modern agriculture, engineering, right? We have cities. Most of the animals are either very far away or in biological preserves. So we are not threatened by a saber-toothed tiger in the underbrush anymore. But what are we threatened by? Fear. Fear that is produced by other human beings. We are our own greatest enemies now. Of course, when we happen to venture into territories where the animal kingdom is sitting in a seat of power, right? If I were to take myself, fly over to Africa and go on a safari without protection, without provision, I am at the mercy of God and the animals. But right now, my greatest threat, your greatest threat, is fear. Fear in the ethereal and fear produced by other human beings. And when you are immersed in fear, you're not living, you're surviving. And so that's why condemnation doesn't heal people. It's the religious system. And why performative religion doesn't heal people, because it keeps people in threat mode activation. So what happens outside of religion when you enter into the territory of relationship with God, with others, and with yourself? All three are paramount. Love signals safety. Safety creates capacity. Capacity enables change. We have a quote here at BHI, and that is, awareness brings clarity, clarity brings options, options bring opportunities. AE, if you're not aware that you have a problem, you cannot even begin to try to solve it. And so love is the environment that healing grows in. And synonymous with truth. Why? Because truth is not an option. Truth is alignment with reality. Reality cannot be distorted. It will snap itself back every single time. Jesus said, He is the truth, meaning He is the fullest picture of reality, which is God and man reconciled. So truth is not cruelty. Truth is not, I'm just being honest. Truth is what is real, what is accurate, what is congruent. Truth is when your inside and your outside match. Truth is when you stop betraying reality. I'm not fine. I am afraid. I am avoiding. I am performing. I need help. Truth is painful at first because it removes the mask. But it's the only place healing can happen. Here's why truth is scary. Shame says if you're seen, you'll be rejected. So shame makes you hide, and hiding makes you sicker. Truth ends hiding. It's an exposure. But what it does is a truth restores integration, wholeness. Not perfection, wholeness. And when you live in truth, you get something religion rarely gives. Peace. Shame survives in secrecy. Truth kills secrecy. So here's your next step for 7 days. I want you to write one truth you've been avoiding, one sentence. Do one act of love without enabling. Repeat that daily for 7 days. So an example, right? Truth. I've been performing. Love would be, I'm going to be honest with one safe person. If you don't have someone like that, please DM us anytime. Truth. I'm avoiding my body. I'm not avoiding it now, but that was my truth for a very long time. Love. I'm going to take a 10-minute walk. Truth. I keep the peace by lying. Love. I'm going to set one boundary. So here's the thing, guys. Religion teaches performance. I implore you, Stay away from religion, get away from religion, remove religiosity out of your life. Don't waste your life in religion. Now, of course, I do believe that everything works together for the good. That doesn't mean I don't have regrets. I think people who say, oh, I don't live with regret, I don't know if I can trust that. I think it's a little disingenuous because we all make choices that are suboptimal that cause us harm. And the nature of regret is wishing that you had never made that choice. Now, if you get to a place of maturity where you're able to say, well, actually, I learned a lot. Through my failure, I gained new perspective in life. I think that helps mediate regret. But I'm not at the point yet where I can say that I have none. Even though my life is very good right now, and it's only getting better, I still do wish I had learned the things that I know now sooner. I may not feel this way always, but it could just be because I am still fresh on this journey of discovery. It's only been 3 years. My life completely changed after I survived my suicide attempt. That was, I would say, probably the first day I started living was the day that I attempted suicide and survived. But regardless, yeah. Religion teaches performance. It will lead you to despair, and you can only live in despair for so long before you want to die. This is fact corroborated by neurologists and psychologists all over the world. You in despair, your mind starts to constrict until it brings yourself to only one option, which is to alleviate the continued living in despair. If you're going to consider Jesus, I want you to view it in the lens of relationship, not religion. Because if you read his words closely and you understand the science of reading, which if you're going to read the Bible, there is a science to reading. You have to make sure that you are not importing into the text. You must understand the world of the text. You must understand the literary style, because the Bible is Semitic. It was written in the Levant by Middle Eastern individuals, and so the philosophy behind it is Near Eastern, which is not Western. Western religion has robbed the Bible of its original meaning and context. That's why you don't read the writings of Buddha like a pope of the Catholic Church. You would never possibly understand it. Context would be missing, right? You do not read Shakespeare like a Japanese manga. It wouldn't translate, right? Context would be missing. Transliteration, right? The changing between languages over the centuries of the text. So you must read the Bible like a Semitic, Levantine, Near Eastern, Middle Eastern individual to understand it. You must understand Near Eastern philosophy to understand it. You must understand Near Eastern literature and phonetics and Near Eastern penmanship to understand it. Very important. And so Jesus teaches relationship, and relationship produces wholeness. Now, if you do not believe a relationship with an ethereal God is possible for you, it is mirrored in the fact that since 1938, Harvard University has done what has been dubbed as the happiness study. That's not its official name. I can cite the sources in the description. But from 1938 to present, Harvard has been observing humanity, right? And the consistent barometer for the most successful human beings in every capacity, that's physical, mental, emotional, is relationships. Relationships are the key to happiness, which is corroborated by so many other fields of science. It's insane. But because I believe that to be a foundational principle of the universe, if we are to believe that we are created by God, then the nature of defining who God is to us and who we are to God and who we are to each other and who God is to one another would be some of the most important questions. But I think the two most important questions for every single human being is, who are you and why are you here? And to live in those questions, to sit in those questions, I think is the most important endeavor any one human being can embark on in the entirety of their existence. Because there's another quote, and it is, if you sit in the question long enough, the answer comes to you. And so what's your next step? Comment it below in one sentence. And if you want structure, accountability, and people rebuilding together, people trying to answer these questions together, people who are upward aiming, who are desirous of health, healing, success, wholeness, please join us in Skool. The link is down below. You can DM me there all the time. We have daily interactions through what is known as the morning merit. I pose a question, I answer the question myself, and I ask that everyone else answer the question. We have bi-weekly video conference calls. One is the mid-monthly hangout, and the last, which is the second Monday of the month, and the last Monday of the month is our live Q&A. And come as you are, whoever you are, however you are. I want to talk to all of you guys. I genuinely have a love in my heart for every single human being. I also understand that I don't know everything, and I am a student of life, just like each and every single one of us are. So as much as I do my best to provide value, I love to learn, I love to grow, and so the link is in below. Also, resources in the description if you're in a dark place right now. Part of why I make the videos that I do and I study the reversal of collapse so much is because I've gotten to that place. I've gotten to the edge of despair. I've gotten to rock bottom, because rock bottom is when you no longer want to live. There is nothing below that. The only thing lower than that is 6 feet in the ground. And I never, if I have the capacity, I never want anyone to get to that place alone. If I can assist any one human being to continue to live life, because life is the greatest adventure. Life is the greatest mystery, which is part of what makes it scary. I don't want anyone to be there alone. So there are resources in the description if you're dealing with suicidal ideation. Obviously, I'm not a clinician. I'm not a professional. Even though I am in the pursuit of a degree, I will not be getting a clinical certificate. The farthest I will go is to obtain a doctorate. I don't want to be a clinician. I don't want to open my own practice. So I can only help so far, and I will leave the professional work to the professionals. So I implore you, live life to the fullest. Life can be perfect. And what does perfect mean? Nothing missing, nothing broken. Just a matter of getting there. This has been Thomas Emmanuel Arms O'Brien. Love you guys.